What's up, guys? Rick here with a preview for this week's Open Championship. This will be a data-driven preview for Royal Portrush, this field, and anything else that I can stumble into. It's going to be an awesome week. I love this week. We got a little bit of an appetizer at the Scottish last week. Before I jump into this, I will remind you the Listener League for this week has again been ramped up. Not $25,000 guaranteed, not 30, not 40, not 50, $60,000 guaranteed. This is where you pick a golfer from each one of 8 tiers, and then your top 7 scores count. It's legal and regulated in 40 plus some odd states, most of Canada. This is where we've been running our leagues all year long, and last year as well. It's on Splash Sports. The link is in the description. I'm doing this Sunday night, and it's already 10% full. So I think it's going to fill pretty quickly this time around. Okay, this is Royal Portrush. This is Northern Ireland. There's only been a handful of years in which the Open Championship has gone out of England or Scotland, and this is going to be fun because I find Portrush to be about as pure links as it gets. If I show you this photo, if you're watching on YouTube, it's an aerial photo of Royal Portrush. This should make you feel things, right? This should give you goosebumps. This should be sending blood to appendages. This should show you something here. The way the shadows hit this ground, the undulation that has been created by Mother Nature over the course of the past couple hundred years, not a tree in sight. Is there a tree in sight? Can I find a single tree? I don't see a single tree. This is just as pure as it gets. Now we're going to go through some satellite imagery. We're going to go through the statistics. I will show you some shots of drone footage, and we'll see what we can figure out about this golf course. But a couple of things to note. They played here in 2019. Shane Lowry won that golf tournament. The course was incredibly soft and gettable, 15 under par. Shane Lowry had the 54-hole scoring record for the Open. That still only had 29 guys under par and had a huge range of scores. Okay? Royal Portrush definitely skews in the top third of ranges of scores because links golf is not fair. Royal Portrush is not fair. You can hit a great shot and be punished for it. There are a handful of spots with OB very much in play, sometimes just a few yards off the fairway. Remember Rory McIlroy? He calls this a home game. Tee shot on Thursday in 2019. He hits it OB. He ends up making an 8. Just that is out there. And then he followed that up with a 65 on Friday and missed the cut by a shot. There's those huge ranges of outcomes. So volatility is going to be a big thing for this week. This is the course key stats model on my website, RickRunGood.com. I took the numbers from 2019. I sprinkled in a little bit of comparable R&A venues, and then I made some assumptions based on the satellite imagery that we'll look at here in just a minute. And this is the model that I came up with. So you don't have to live and die by this model. I don't think you should, but I think it's a good starting point. So what ended up popping out of this is you've got to be a strong driver of the golf ball. You got to be a strong second shot player. The distance debate. So last week, and the model loved driving distance. And quite honestly, I mean, think about all the guys who were in the mix. They were movers of the golf ball. Goddard, McIlroy, Nikolai Højgaard, Marco Penge, just like absolute movers of the golf ball. This week, I think accuracy is going to end up being more important. Let me more important than last week. A combination of both would be great, but let me show you what waits if you miss the fairway this week. Okay, what I'm showing you right now is the landing zone on number 4. And this is from Golf Digest's Every Hole At series. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I love this series. They take drone footage of these golf courses, and it's awesome. So here's 4. Well, we've got pop bunkers that are in the fairway as opposed to outside the fairway, which makes landing zones shorter, and pop bunkers that are going to be at least a half shot penalty because you are going to have trouble advancing to the greens. If you are just off the fairway on the left, you get this rugged fescue, which as you start to miss farther and farther off the fairway, it gets nastier and nastier. On the right-hand side here, that's OB. That's a boundary line. That looks to be 3 yards off the fairway, 4 yards off the fairway, something like that. And of course, a lot of the undulation of these greens will turn these pop bunkers magnetic, right? Where balls will end up rolling in there, and the ball is not going to necessarily stop wherever it lands in the fairway. Here's another example on 12. And again, we've got pop bunkers that are creeping into the fairway or are in the fairway. And as soon as you start getting off the fairway, you're starting to get into trouble. And then if you find yourself in this, I don't know what those are considered, gorse bushes, you're probably taking an unplayable. Okay, so that is why you're going to get, like, there are going to be a lot of drives that generate penalty shots because of OB. There's internal OB. There's some water that runs out there, and having to take unplayables from gorse bushes. The other thing off the tee, I'll stick with the off the tee idea here, is that especially around the turn, this course offers infinite options, which I love. This is the satellite imagery for number 11, and it's this gentle dog leg right that is angled perfectly where you get to choose how much you want to bite off. And remember, this fairway at 310 is only 28 yards wide. The safe zone I would call 38 yards wide, and then you start getting into gorse and thick, nasty stuff. But here's where you get to have your fun. You can be pretty conservative, and you can cut the dog leg at 271 yards. You can be a little bit more aggressive and cut it at 290. You can be even more aggressive and cut it at 301 or 310 or 330, whatever you want. Anything in there. And a lot of that will depend on wind. It'll depend on the way that you shape the golf ball, the temperature that's out there. This is an infinite number of options. And sometimes that bothers guys because they are going to have to hit a very committed shot. Pick a line, pick a distance, and commit to it. You see that a lot out here. And then if you are if you're shaping the golf ball and you shape it left to right and you flare it a little bit, you're cooked. If you overdraw it or something, you're cooked. So you have to just hit a very, very strong shot. You see this a lot on the dog legs. The other thing that I want to point out in terms of off the tee is the routing of this golf course. This course was opened in 1888 and has been constantly renovated since then. And it is not, so, if you think about St. Andrews, right? And a lot of these courses that are out there, you go out in one direction for the front nine, you turn around, you come back, right? That's in and out. That's where that comes from. And for the first 4 holes, that's very much the case at Royal Portrush. Your 1 is down here in the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're just going towards the water. 5, you're going towards the water. You start to turn to the north, but then it starts to zig and zag all over the place. So 6 is back to the southwest, but 7 is kind of northwest, and then 8 is southeast, or at least back to the east, and then 9 kind of runs back towards the clubhouse, but 10 goes in the opposite direction. Like it just, now it starts to zigzag in a way that you don't see a ton of older golf courses do. And I think that's noteworthy because what that is going to create is you're going to have to drive it in all directions, right? You're going to have to be able to hit all the shots. You're going to have to face all the winds. It's not a scenario where you're playing everything downwind and then you're playing everything into the wind, or you're playing everything from left to right and then you're playing everything from right to left. You're going to deal with everything. So what I'm making the case for here is a very complete driver of the golf ball, one who can hit strong shots in the wind, who can ideally work the ball both ways, who can hit it farther than most of his peers, but do it in an accurate fashion. I have a golfer in mind. I do. I have a golfer in mind that checks all those boxes for me. Should I give it to you now, or should I give it to you when we get to him in a little bit? All right, I'll give it to you now. The prototype for this type of driving to me is Xander Schauffele. And we can talk about whether or not he's a good option. But this is the new radar tool on RickRunGood.com that I dropped last week. And I want you to look at his shot shapes. This is incredibly rare and impressive to get a guy who drives it as far as he does, top, 15 in driving distance, quite accurate. And he does it out of basically all 9 windows. You know, he has, I'll round up for low fades, but he has 6 of the 9 windows in which he hits at least 10% of his shots from. And he does it at all trajectories. He hits low, middle, and high draws. He hits low, middle, and high fades. He doesn't hit a lot of straight golf balls, but he's capable of doing it. When you compare that to someone like Scotty Scheffler, who's a great driver of the golf ball, he only hits fades. That's all he does. He hits them at different trajectories, but for the most part, he hits a ton of fades. So like Scotty will figure it out. He's done that, but I would prefer, just for kind of driving abilities, is to be able to work the ball in a lot of different directions and work through a lot of windows. So when you go to look at the leaders and you kind of see these guys that might be one shot shape guys, hey, I hit 75% of my shots left to right, or I hit 75% of my shots right to left. It's not the greatest thing in the world, in my opinion, for a test of golf like this, but it doesn't discount you. I just think that it'll be important to be able to work the ball in a variety of directions. Okay, so that's just part one. So that's the driving aspect of Royal Portrush. Let's talk about the approach aspect of Royal Portrush. The model gives strokes gained approach a very good score, a value of 0.228, a rank of 22 means there's 21 golf courses in which strokes gained approach is more important. But the secondary stats, all 3 of them start with a variety of approach buckets, which is noteworthy. The thing, I actually kind of think this week is just a greens and regulation week. Okay. The way that these putting surfaces sit, almost all are elevated. Almost all have runoff spots that when they run off, you are going to get into a variety of different trouble spots. The fescue, these bunkers that are playing, 10 or 12 feet down below the surface. You've got short grass, and as the week goes on, that'll become kind of choppier short grass. If guys are playing to the same spots, it's going to be very difficult around these putting surfaces. So I would almost prefer you having a 70-foot putt in which you are more likely to 3-putt and making a bogey that way, or more likely to 3-putt than make a bogey that way than missing the green, especially on the short side. That feels like more of a penalty. That feels like it's going to be more than a normal half shot penalty, which is what it is when a guy short sides himself on the PGA Tour, because there's a pretty good chance you leave the ball at your feet, or you have to play it to 30 or 40 feet and you're cooked. You're going to need the wide range of around the green shots, which I would love to just get rid of by hitting the putting surface. The Shane Lowry method was hit a lot of greens in regulation. I don't think he was super accurate off the tee, but he found a way to just put the ball on the putting surface and avoid the pop bunkers, avoid these runoff spots, and avoid a lot of those awkward positions around the greens. I'll just show you my favorite hole here. It's number 16. This is a very long par 3. It's about 230 yards. This is Calamity Corner. So all of this on the right, that is in play. This I don't want to call it a canyon. It's not that big, but it is a pretty significant drop off where if you hit it in there, you are cooked, and you're going to just see a lot of guys bail out. And it's at the end of the round, and you're just going to have to stand up there and hit a shot to try to win a major championship. It's going to be pretty sick. The putting surfaces are fescue based. From what I've read, about 75%. They will run slower than PGA Tour standards. They're probably going to run around a 10 on the stimp meter, which should give a little bit of a bump to the to worse putters. Guys that are not as strong with the putter usually play better on slower greens. But I can't stress enough that this is going to be an awesome test of golf, and you're going to see a wide range of scores, and guys are going to be ejected all over the place. I am not going to be upset if you want to fade specific guys or be a little bit, embrace a little bit of the volatility, right? I think we're going to get that kind of week. The forecast is not good, which is awesome, right? It's supposed there's rain in the forecast every single day. There's wind in the forecast every single day. It's going to be a proper open. This is going to be, there's a chance, and we'll know Wednesday in the live chat, kind of as the tee times come out, what that forecast is looking as we get closer. But there might just be a wave that gets completely bonked because they're on the wrong side of it and they're unlucky. We see that all the time at Open Championships. So this is going to be an awesome week. I can't wait to talk about the players, which we're going to jump into right now. All right, here it is in all its glory, the cheat sheet at RickRunGood.com. I'm going to rock dark mode this week. Feeling a little bit frisky. So we've got 4 golfers over $10,000. Scotty Scheffler is $14,200, which does in fact mean we are getting a $5,000 range this week, and we have that indeed. Let's talk about the big 4. I think it's an interesting big 4. I think there's cases to be made for and against these guys, and quite honestly, of course, it's all relative. They're the best players in the field, but let's talk through this real quick. We'll start with Scotty Scheffler. Number 1 player in the world, $14,200. His Open Championship history is good, not great. There's 3 measured Opens in the database. He has lost strokes putting in each one of those, though he's probably a better putter now than he has been at any point during those years. There is something a little bit unfair about links style golf and Open Championships that I do wonder if it bothers Scotty. This is completely throwing the data out the window, which I hate to do, but there is something that if you're the best player in the world by far, you want it to be fair. You want good shots to be rewarded and bad shots to be punished because you hit more great shots than everybody else in the world. I think there's a little bit of that bothers Scotty. Saw it at Pinehurst as well. That is not enough for me to consider some type of full fade on Scotty Scheffler to be concerned. It just bumps me from a 10 out of 10 full throttle to a 9.8. Okay, like that is all. The tee to green numbers are bonkers. He has gained a ton of strokes off from tee to green in every single event in 2025. The putter has been much better. His major championship record is nothing but top 10 finishes outside of Opens, or 2 Opens, and Pinehurst. It's incredible. If you look at the power rankings, he is the best player in this field over the last 36 rounds, and it is not particularly close. He's gaining 3.2 strokes per round over that period. The next closest guy on the PGA Tour is Ben Griffin, who is 9th, and Scotty's about twice as good as him. There are guys between Scotty and Ben Griffin. They play on the Senior Tour. They might play a primarily DP World Tour schedule. They might play Live Golf, which this is just raw strokes gained. But just to put into perspective against the type of competition that Scotty is playing against every single week. If you look at his radar chart, it's nuts. I mean, he moves the ball at, let's see here, 176 miles an hour off the tee. It's plenty good. He hits a lot of fairways. He hits a ton of greens. He's longer in 2025 than he was in 2024. Just really, really good stuff, obviously, from Scotty Scheffler. Tiny bit of concern about the way that this golf course will reward him or lack thereof, but he's got all the short game shots. He's phenomenal. So bump him down from a 10 to a 9.8, and we are going to be playing a lot of Scotty Scheffler. We're also going to be playing a lot of Rory McIlroy. I hate that the first 2 guys we're talking about here, and honestly, a third out of this big four are going to be a little narrative based. I don't like to do that, but you've got to remember we are 6 years removed from Rory McIlroy playing at Portrush and being devastated to miss the cut. Now he comes back as a Grand Slam winner where, does that free him up? Does it make him nervous? Is he going to care too much? Is he going to care the right amount? I don't know. But here's what I do know. All the conversation around Rory McIlroy and the driver, I think, has overshadowed the fact that his putter has been phenomenal. Picked up 7 strokes putting last week at the Scottish Open, 2 starts ago at the Travelers Championship. So now we're at 14 strokes gained over the course of his last 8 rounds. We are at 16 and a half over his last 12 rounds, and the driver's been fine. Nothing spectacular, but it's been fine. The approach play has been more solid. I think, he's been working. So he had his coach in Scotland with him. I think the swing looks clean. I think those flighted wedge shots that we've seen him hit so often earlier in the year to help win the Players, to help win the Masters, are going to come in handy a lot around Royal Portrush. I am hoping people get nervous about this or want to play Jon Rahm or want to play Bryson or want to play Scotty, because I think I'll be finding myself on a lot of Rory McIlroy if that ends up being the case. Now, his Open Championship record. So he missed the cut at Troon last year. It was back-to-back top 6 finishes at Liverpool and St. Andrews. Of course, he probably should have won at St. Andrews. He 2-putted, I think, all 18 holes with multiple, him and Victor were in the final group there, and Cam Smith ran them down. But he's been great at Open Championships in his career. I probably don't need to point that out to you. So we've got 14,200 Scotty Scheffler, 11,500 Rory McIlroy, and then we've got 2 live guys, Jon Rahm and Bryson DeChambeau at 10-4 and 10-1. One of the best things about my website is I've got the live strokes gained, I've got the DP World Tour strokes gained, I've got everything, right? So I've got data deals with all of these tours. So this is really a complete picture. Live Golf does calculate their strokes gained a little bit differently than the PGA Tour, and we could talk about the closed circuit and the competition, but it is very reflective of the way that they are playing. And the way that Jon Rahm is playing is flawless. Probably should have won in Andalusia at Valderrama last week. The stretch of top 10 finishes has, I believe, officially ended on Live Golf, but it was broken by a T11. So don't get me wrong, it's phenomenal. He's one of the best drivers in the world. And if we go and look at his radar chart, I should have his radar stuff so I won't have any radar stuff from him I'll have a couple of shots for 2025. I only have 79 drives on him in 2025, and he does move it all over the place, because that's what I remember. I remember when Jon Rahm was driving it on the PGA Tour, we were getting him moving it in all types of directions, hitting all 9 windows. I want to see if that's true. Not really. So 2023 is the last time we got a full season of Jon Rahm's radar data, and while he was going low, middle, and high, it was all left to right shots. Actually, what he did in 2025, so this is just going to be major championships and such. I've got 79 drives on him in 2025, and it's a little bit more well-rounded, but he is about as complete of a driver that you are going to get. His Open Championship record, 7th at Troon, runner-up at Liverpool, 34th at St. Andrews, and 3rd at St. George's. I'll throw in Portrush, a T11 in his last 5. So that is no worse than a T34 in his last 5. If we just go look, by the way, obviously these are different golf courses. Obviously these are, they're not all the same, but the style of golf that's being played. So let's just do this. Everybody in this field since 2016 at Opens, and we'll say 4 or 5 is a sample size. Jordan Spieth, number 1, 2.3 strokes gained per round in 8 starts. Rory McIlroy, 2. Xander, 3. Morikawa has 4 starts. He's 4th. Here's Rahm, 1.65 strokes gained per round over 8 starts. His last 5 starts have been his best starts during that stretch. His first 3 were not particularly good. A miscut, a 44th, and a 59th. So Rahm trending in there. If I close this up, right, if I cherry pick for Jon Rahm and go since 2019, it's actually Cam Young, Shane Lowry, Jon Rahm are the three best players in Opens. And of course, Rahmbo does not have a win during that period. So you would think that one is probably coming at some point. I'd be pretty hard pressed to think that Jon Rahm does not win an Open in his lifetime. Bryson DeChambeau is the last guy. Now, again, this is so there's some data stuff that's interesting here. There is also the narrative stuff that's interesting here. His record at links golf courses, or excuse me, at the Open is not good. Missed cut last year, 60th at Liverpool. St. Andrews is a very kind of different style of golf course. He finished T8 there, and then two other missed cuts, a 33rd and a 51st. It's not good. And the reason for that, and I've probably said this a million times, is Open championships ask you to be creative and to be an artist, not be the mechanic. And everything that Bryson DeChambeau has done in his lifetime is to be the mechanic and not be the artist. So I think it becomes really difficult for him when there's a lot more variables and things that he cannot control. He's been tinkering with equipment a little bit as of late. The metrics are good, not great. He's lost strokes putting in 3 out of his last 4. That is usually a very good, strong suit of his. He's lost strokes around the green in 3 straight. Now we're going to put him on a golf course that is going to be very demanding around the greens. That's troublesome. And the approach play has been very solid. It's cooled off a little bit since Oakmont and then moving forward. But his floor of probably 4 strokes gained off the tee is still there, but he is just as susceptible to the bad luck and all that stuff that everyone else is. So when you have a floor off the tee of 4 or 5 strokes to the field, which Bryson does, like I said, there, if you get unlucky, you might lose a stroke. It's a penalty shot, right? And it's not because he hit a bad shot. It's because he got a little bit unlucky. He got a little bit wayward. He got gusted, whatever. So I don't think the floors off the tee are as solid this week as others. So just zooming out on this 10K range, all you can eat on Scotty, hoping that people forget about Rory, and then give me Rahmbo. I imagine Rahm is going to be pretty popular. He's the 3rd most expensive. You get a significant discount from the other guys. People don't get to play him very often, so they're playing him here, and he's been awesome. So I assume I end up on Rory here because of the pricing, because of what I suspect the ownership will be. But will not be afraid to pay up for Scotty. So it'll be interesting to see how that 10K range shakes out.
Golf season has kicked off, and there's no better place to sweat the action than DraftKings Daily Fantasy, the ultimate destination for fantasy golf fans. Right now, DraftKings is giving new customers a chance to play free for their share of millions in prizes with their first deposit on the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app. It's simple to play. Build your dream lineup while staying under the salary cap, then sit back and watch as your players rack up points. Every birdie, every bogey, every clutch putt, feel the intensity of every shot. Download the DraftKings Daily Fantasy app and enter promo code RickDFS to play free for your share of millions with your first deposit. That's RickDFS for new DraftKings customers. Just download the Daily Fantasy app today. The crown is yours.
The 9K range is very small, only 5 golfers here. And, if you haven't figured it out already, I cannot quit Xander Schauffele. I have a Xander Schauffele problem. I'm not afraid to admit it. I just don't know how he's not winning golf tournaments. A lot of really good results, no wins. T8 at the Scottish Open, he lost strokes putting. He's lost strokes putting in 2 in a row. He's a very good putter. He's lost strokes putting in 3 out of 4. What's going on? 9 strokes gained on approach. Again, one of the best approach players in the field. The tee to green numbers are insane. The Open Championship record is second to none. The Major Championship record is basically 50% top 5 finishes. It's whatever type of test a golf course asks, Xander answers because he's putting up complete gains almost every single time he tees it up in a major championship. I showed you the radar data. To me, this is about as good as it gets. When you've got a guy who can work it in every single direction, whose ball speed is, upwards of 183 miles an hour. He has put on, so in 2020, he was driving at 175 miles an hour in terms of ball speed. He's up to 183. That's nuts. Okay, that's what he's cruising at. That's his average. If we look at everybody, let's do it like, I've got to update this, but let's do it like this. Everybody on tour minimum 200 drives to qualify in this season. Xander is here, 183. It is between Luke Clanton and Cam Young. He's like the 12th fastest driver on the PGA Tour. He does it accurately. He works it in every direction. I know I'm sick. It's annoying. I just don't see a problem here, except for the putter, which we're going to have to get figured out, but he's such a good putter. Man, that's what I'm most excited about in the 9K range. The other guys are okay. I think Ludwig is very interesting. I'm probably not going to play much of Tommy Fleetwood, Shane Lowry, and Robert McIntyre. Ludwig is more inconsistent than he's ever been or than we thought about him, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Finished T8 last week, the Scottish Open, and there were stretches where he played miserable golf. Still came out as a big-time ball striker. It was still a complete gain. He's played one Open Championship. It was last year at Troon. He missed the cut. I think we're getting a less consistent version of Ludwig, but that's okay. It's okay. He has the upside to win every single golf tournament that he plays. Tommy Fleetwood, the radar chart is not as exciting for Tommy as it is for others. This is, I'm going to write about this in my newsletter a little bit. I worry that when you've got a lot of shots like he does, when you're trying to break through for the biggest win of your career, it is easy to hit the wrong shot. So I'm diving into this more in my newsletter. These guys who need to break through, these guys who feel a lot of pressure, having one shot shape, one go-to shot is really valuable. And I think because Tommy has so many, when he's been stressed, we see some of those double crosses and some of those misses and him kind of playing himself out of golf tournaments. It's not to say he hasn't been awesome, because he has been. It's been great. It's just probably not going to be for me, and I think he's going to be somewhat popular. Lowry will get a little bit of a boost because of the defending, or, he won here last time. The metrics are not very good. He's lost strokes putting in a lot of them in 4 of his last 5. Around the green play has struggled in 4 out of his last 5. The metrics that were so good for a lot of 2025 have really started to falter over the last handful of months. It's not as exciting as it was if we would have had this tournament in March, for example. And then Robert McIntyre doesn't play well at the Scottish Open, and in fact, he drives it miserably. He loses 5 strokes off the tee. He loses 2 strokes with the putter. Neither one of those things are going to work. His Open Championship record in the last 3 years has not been great. I just am focused here on Xander and Ludwig. Xander is probably in a lot of my lineups. Ludwig I'm embracing more than the field. I will be underweight on Tommy, Shane, and McIntyre, and see if that beats me up. The 8K range is a little awkward. Still only 7 golfers. You've got guys here with definitely question marks. We'll start with Colin Morikawa, who was miserable last week at the Scottish Open, did not even sniff making the cut, lost strokes everywhere but off the tee. The putter is very lost. It's like 14 strokes to the negative over his last 14 rounds. I'm starting to get a little bit concerned here. I am a glutton for punishment and would not mind. I don't think he's going to be very popular. So I will match the field or be a smidge more on Colin, because again, it's kind of like Ludwig. I want guys that can win golf tournaments. Colin, I still believe, can win golf tournaments. But I'm getting scared. I'm getting quite scared. There's a lot that I don't like about this. I don't like what he's saying. I don't like the way he's hitting it. I don't like a lot of this. Hovland, Victor. Ooh, mama. Look at the way he is hitting the golf ball here. He has been the best. Let's do it this way. Power rankings, last 36 rounds, strokes gained approach. I don't know what's going to pop up. I assume he's going to be pretty high on this list. He is. He's second to Scotty Scheffler. So it's Scotty 1, Victor 2. And that passes the eye test. It passes the data test. He is still leaving a couple strokes out there by making kind of some big mistakes at times. So he went 3rd at the US Open, withdrew from the Travelers after 3 really good rounds, the neck thing, and then T11 at the Scottish Open, where again, he just continues to mash it. So last 12 rounds, He has picked up 14, 20, like 22 strokes on approach in his last 14. Or in his last, what would that be? 11. We have around the green problems. I said it earlier. You are going to have the full complement of shots around the greens. That worries me. I think he will be able to separate off the tee. He will be able to separate on the second shot. We are going to have to avoid disaster around the green. That's the pathway to Victor getting to the top of the leaderboard. I'll save Terrell Hatton for just a second. My mind is warped on Justin Thomas. Okay, we've got so a week ago, I think I would have been way in on Colin over JT. Now I feel like I'm JT over Colin. The 9th at the Travelers, the 22nd at the Scottish Open with a complete gain, which now means he has gained strokes putting. This is Justin Thomas, mind you, in 10 straight starts. That's flown under the radar that he has been that good with the putter. I am not a fan of his Open Championship record. It's not good. But he does have all the shots. It's weird. It should be better. He has all of the shots. I want to pull up his radar profile because I know what he can do around the tee. Let's see what he's doing around the green. Let's see what he's doing off the tee. Constantly a fade, constantly a cut from all three trajectories. Yeah, he can hit it high. He can hit it low. His stock shot has been a lot higher in 2025 than it's ever been before. Look at this. So his average is 114 feet of apex, which is nearly 11 feet. No, it is. It's 11 and a half feet higher than last year at the same ball speed, launching it from the same angle and a lot spinnier. Wow. He must have, that's a driver thing. That's kind of interesting. I wonder if he knows that. Because that's a pretty big difference. I should send that to him or his team. Not that I know him personally, but like there's things about what's happening in competition versus what's happening in simulators. But now I'm more bullish on JT this week. I'm twisted. These guys have twisted my brain. Terrell Hatton will be somewhat popular. 4th at the U.S. Open, 5th in Live Dallas, 23rd at Valderrama. His Open Championship record, mixed to say the least. A bunch of missed cuts, handful of top 20s. The better stuff is more recent, but this range in general does not get me all that excited. Cantlay has been bad at Opens. Brooks has been bad at Opens. Neiman has been bad at Opens. Do I trust any of those guys to flip that history? Maybe Joaquin a little bit more. But this is Victor, and I think it's Victor and JT with honorable mentions to Hatton, Morikawa, and Neiman. But I'm not thrilled about it. Neiman's lost strokes putting in 4 straight. I don't love that. I really don't. The other problem with liking the 8K range is that the 7K range is so fascinating. You could play a lot of these guys. Russell Henley, $7,900. I'm not going to dive into his profile, but I like that. Matt Fitzpatrick is absolutely, quote, back. 17th at the Travelers, 8th at the Rocket, 4th at the Scottish. Complete gain last week. Really solid stuff. Had a chance to win that golf tournament. Had a chance to be in it. This is the stat profile that we saw from him back when he was, back in 2022, 2023. And I love the way he's putting it together. That's real. It's not feel. Jordan Spieth, withdrawals from the Travelers Championship. That was the scap, right? That was the tweet about the scap that he injured. I assume he's going to be all good. I showed you this earlier. The Open Championship record is incredible because he is such a creative golfer, because he can do a lot of things. His ball striking is as good as it's been in like 3 years. His putting is as good as it's been in like 4 years. He's driving it better than he's ever driven it in his life. I'm going to be heavily exposed to Jordan Spieth. Justin Rose is very interesting if you can stomach the volatility. He has 4 top 40 finishes this year. That's it. They are a 3rd at Pebble Beach, an 8th at Bay Hill, a runner-up at Augusta National in a playoff, and a 6th last week at the Renaissance Club. Talk about 4 massive top 10s, and those are his only top 40s. Finished runner-up at this championship last year. Experience matters in Opens. When Rosie's playing well, he can put it all together. It is going to be risky, but it's interesting. I'm going to lump Adam Scott and Ryan Fox together. They are the only 2 golfers in this field who are averaging like, I think the criteria I was looking for was 295 off the tee and lower than 100 feet of apex. So basically, can you hit it far? Can you hit it low? And the idea being if, Open championships are played on the ground, and if this becomes windy, can you do that? Can you get away with it? Can you have enough distance to hit it low and get away with it? And those are carry numbers, not total numbers, obviously. And the only 2 in the field are Adam Scott and Ryan Fox. Adam Scott is gaining strokes off the tee in 6 straight. The putter has been hit or miss. And then Ryan Fox has, 2 victories already this year, lost strokes at the Scottish Open off the tee and with the putter. I believe those are probably outliers. He's very good in both of those categories. Ben Griffin. Do not forget that Ben Griffin has been one of the best players in the world in 2025. And he took the week off at the Scottish. He missed the cut at the John Deere, but he missed the cut on the number, so he still gained strokes that week. He was still great from tee to green. He was on pace to gain 8 strokes from tee to green. And he just coughed it up on his final 2 holes of the week. On 8 on Friday, I think he made a double, and then I think he bogeyed 9, his final 2 holes, and that was it. Like, he's played 2 bad holes in 4 months. It's incredible. This has got to be his Open Championship debut, doesn't it? Oh, no. Oh, wow, no. Sorry, Ben. I've cut you very short here. Played the Open the last 2 years. He missed the cut in both of them. I'm ready for Ben. And then I want to take a look at Cam Young here. Because when I was showing you that Open Championship record, Cam Young's name kept popping up. 3 times he's played it. Runner-up, 8th, and 31st. He's been a lot better, guys. He's gained strokes with the putter in 7 of his last 8, but the last one was 0.04, 4/100ths of a stroke to the negative, so I think that we can call that a 0. Driving's been really good. Approach play's been better. I want to look at his radar real quick. Yeah. So this is, this would worry me down the stretch. This is kind of the Tommy Fleetwood thing. This would worry me down the stretch, and I think we've seen that from Cam Young down the stretch, right? Some big misses off the tee. But this is the ability to hit draws, fades at about 5 different trajectories and a straight ball low. Okay, that's a lot of, I praised Xander for having 6 windows that were 9 or higher in terms of percentage of shots. Cam Young does the same thing. It's very good. Insane amounts of value in the 6K range. I'll try to keep this relatively quick. Carlos Ortiz is $6,800. Actually rallied a bit at Live Andalusia at Valderrama last week. Got off to a horrendous start. Lost 5 strokes. He was in dead last at one point when I checked. Lost 5.5 strokes in round 1. Lost 1.5 in round 2. Much better in round 3. Picked up 2.4 strokes to the field. He's got a bunch of top 10s coming in, and I just love his game in general. I'm not, sprinting to the window, but I love it. Proceeding with caution on Keegan Bradley, who has been phenomenal this year, but let me show you the Open Championship record. It's 5 straight missed cuts. He has 1 top 15. It was a T15 in 2013. And that is basically it. It is not good. Not sure this type of golf suits him very well. We are close on Wyndham, which is crazy to say because he was lost for a lot of 2025. Liked what I saw at the Travelers Championship, but struggled to put 4 rounds together. The Rocket, he got off to a really good start, was miserable on Friday, missed the cut, and then he put together 3 really good rounds at the Scottish Open. We are close here. I don't think it's this week, but I do think that he is going to give something a really good run here, whether it is if he gets himself into the playoffs, whether it's Memphis, whether he has to play prior to that and go to the 3M Open and play that. I think we are close on Wyndham. Going to see one more time. Daniel Berger was right there with Victor Hovland and Xander Schauffele in terms of strokes gained approach last week. He picked up 9 strokes to the field and lost 5 with the putter and another 4 around the green. So gave it all back in the short game categories. That is a little bit too concerning to be in this week. The putter's been lost. I mean, multiple strokes with the putter lost in 5 out of his last 6. As much as I love DB, I love the metrics. I would love to see him play well at an Open Championship. This is pretty concerning. It doesn't matter how well you hit it if you're going to give all those shots back on and around the putting surfaces. I thought this was going to be better for Mean Dean Burmeister. Hemorrhaging strokes around the green, losing on approach in 3 straight. Yeah, I thought that was going to be better. I can skip that. Tom Kim. Is Tom Kim just like a links guy? I still have problems off the tee, a lot of them. But now he's picked up 12 strokes on approach in his last 6 rounds. Goes back to the miscut at the John Deere. We've got driver problems and we've got some putter problems, but he's played better. His Open Championship record is missed cut second, 47th. Is he just like a specialist? This engages him. He's only $6,600. Harris English might be the most mispriced golfer in the world at $6,400. Look at this dude. This dude won this year. He's had a ton of top 25s. He's had a ton of top 10s. He's a complete gain candidate every single time he tees it up. Finished second at the PGA. He's having one of the better major championship seasons. T12 at the Masters, T2 at the PGA, 59th at the US Open, 4th at the Travelers, 22nd at the Scottish. It's nearly criminal. His Open stuff is bad. But this is a criminal mispricing. Harry Hall, look at Harry go. Another week, another 5-6 strokes gained in the short game categories with anything coming on approach and off the tee being a bonus, and he's doing a lot of that as of late. Hasn't missed a cut since the Players' Championship. Has rattled off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight top 25 finishes, with these fields getting increasingly more difficult and getting better, and he's still showing up. First Open Championship. Marco Penge, $6,000 even. This pricing came out before he finishes T2 at the Scottish Open. So now here's the run. We talked about Marco a lot last week. He wins in China at the Henan Classic, missed the cut at the Turkish Open. T28 at Quail, remember that? T25 to Sodal, 21st at the Italian Open, 11th at the International Open, 2nd at the Scottish. There's only one position to go if you're going to continue on that path, and it's winning the Open. He's not going to do that. But what a stud. He is long off the tee. He is gaining, like, let's do this. So what is this? 4, 8, no, that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 18, 20 rounds. Wow, that took me way too long. I'm going to cherry pick for him. We're going to do the last 20 rounds, strokes gained off the tee for everybody in the field. I imagine he's got to be up there. Yeah, it's Bryson 1, Marco Penge 2, John Rahm 3, Nicholas Norgard, Aldrich Potgieter. Ever heard of these guys? They're historic mashers of the golf ball. That's where he lies. It's an incredible skill set. That doesn't even include his win in China because that was not a measured event. He won it. Goodness gracious, Marco. The 5K range is okay. It's a lot of these guys that we talked about a little bit last week. Christopher Reeton, I believe is how he pronounces it. He's the Norwegian who had a really good Saturday. Actually had a really good Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Look at this. So, wow. I bet you that is, let's do this. Let's go to the Showdown cheat sheet here. And I just want to look at the last 3 rounds from last week. I bet you Christopher was one of the best players in the field. He gained 8.5 strokes to the field over the last 3 rounds. It was the 5th best total of anybody in the field over the final 3 rounds. Wow. Good on you. And that was already coming off of the win at the end of May, the top 15 finishes, the 4th at the International Open. I think we can continue down this path with Christopher. The other one that I think is kind of interesting. So if you want to go back to like Jordan L. Smith or Martin Kuvra, I believe is how he pronounces it, Daniel Brown is here. So I think there's going to be this little like, oh, you know, what, what have these guys been doing? Or what are they doing? And everybody's doing. Dan Brown won the International Open 2 starts ago. Okay. Well-rounded event. That was in Germany. He's only $5,800. Some of these other guys are a little scarier. You know, John Catlin, I love the talent. I'll tell you what. I'm going to convince myself on John Catlin. I know it. An American, but he plays a very international game. 8th at the Austrian Open, missed the cut at the KLM. 20. I don't know what I don't think he has status anywhere because he's filling in for some live events. He's playing a Asian Tour and European Tour schedule. Finished 14th at the International Series in Morocco. The International Series are the better Asian Tour events. You also get a lot of live guys in those events. 28th at the Italian Open. He's got a top 20 at the Open. T16 at Troon. I'm going to talk myself into him by the time this week's over. That might be the lowest I'm willing to go. Because now you're getting a lot of the Open qualifiers, guys that don't have records or history anywhere, or you're getting old past champions like Ernie Els and Darren Clark. That might be as low as I'm willing to go. Let me run a model and see what I can find. Okay, custom model, RickRunGood.com. Let's see what we can do here. Let's start. Well, hold on. I want to do a couple of things. Course history. I think I have the Open in here, which is just all the Opens. 12 there. Okay. You know, that gives you like Link style Open Championship golf. Slow greens I want. Putting on slow greens for 10. The strokes gained slow greens. I want scrambling for 10, and then I'm also going to put strokes gained around the green, last 24 for 10, just a little bit different. Then we're going to go strokes gained off the tee for 10, but then we're going to go accuracy for 5, and we are going to go green in regulation percentage for 20, and strokes gained approach for 10. We also probably need to do a weighted strokes gained total 13. Okay. I'm comfortable with that. Number 1 is Scotty Scheffler. Hot on his heels is Jon Rahm. Very close in terms of the score. Rory is 3. Russell freaking Henley is 4. Cantlay is 5. Fitzpatrick 6, Morikawa 7, Ben Griffin is 8. Oh, I dropped my ring. Sorry. Ben Griffin is 8. Wow. Fleetwood is 9, Burns is 10, Bryson is 11, Marco Penge is 14th, $6,000. Harris English is $6,400. He is 19th in this model. Wow. I love it. Could I possibly play Patrick Cantlay? No, right? This is just sickening. I've played too much of this man. No, I'm not even doing that. Live chat this week. I'm probably going to move it an hour earlier so that we have enough time because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions and stuff. And then also make sure you get in the splash contest. Now would be a really good time to sign up for RickRunGood.com. I've got like 9 million things coming to the website that are going to be awesome, and I'm always improving it. But for now, let's have a week. Best of luck. I'll talk to you guys soon.